Welcome back, everyone. We're working on our shooting gallery game. I've got some sprites. We created a room in the last tutorial, and so we're about ready to add some objects and get a little bit of gameplay working. But before we do that, there are a couple sprites we haven't done. Last time I showed you how to play around a little bit with centering, how to modify a mask, and so you want to make sure you follow that in the last tutorial. We also had a ducky, and all we did here was we just changed where the position of the origin would be, and we did it for the crosshair. But we have a couple more sprites we need to add as well that I just didn't go over. I just didn't have time to do all those. We're going to go ahead and let's just add the remaining sprites. So we're going to add ammo, click as a sprite, and we'll deal with the centering and all of that later. But I just wanted to get these sprites in here. And so did we do the crosshair? Yes, we did the crosshair. We did the duck target. But we haven't done the game over. It's going to be a sprite. And on game over, it's the game over screen. And we're going to center this one as well. I'm just going to click center. One of the cool things here I didn't go over last time is if you click center, it gives you the center here. And let's say I want to put that at the bottom. I can then, once I centered it, I can then change it to 72 and then move that down to the bottom. But it's up to you if you want to center it or not. So I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. And we got, I think we're almost there. We want to add hole. And we want to center the origin here. Click OK. And we're going to add the remaining sprites, which will be target and target bullets. And we definitely want to center the target. Click OK. And then we'll add target bullets. And we'll deal with this much later, but let's just go ahead and get those onto the screen. And okay, so at this point, we've got our sprites in here. And we're going to make basically an object for the hole. Okay, so what's going to happen is the hole is going to be a hole that you put into the wall or the ducky or wherever to indicate where you shot. Now, let's talk about the objects in GameMaker. One other thing is sprite is not the same as the object. In the case of GameMaker, sprite is just the image. And as you saw before, and let's just go ahead and take a look at the sprite hole. Right now, all it really is just a static image, but it does have an origin, which we put in the center, and it has a thing called a mask. And the mask is basically any place it registers. Now, this is not really important. I don't even think we're going to use that mask for collision. Oh, no, we will do collision detection. We're either going to do it through the hole or we're going to do it through the mouse. I don't recall what they're going to do in the tutorial. So let's just go ahead and click OK. What we're going to do is we're going to create an object now. And so to create an object, you can just right-click on the object folder and choose Create Object. And we're going to follow the same general naming convention. We're going to put object, we're going to put underscore, we're going to write hole. And we're going to add our sprite here. So that's sprite hole. Okay. So this is our object. It's visible. Okay. And so one of the things we're going to want to do is the hole is going to appear on the screen when it is created. Okay. So in any object, you have events and actions. So we go to add event, and we're going to use create. So create is when it appears. So what's going to happen when it's created? Okay. So what we want it to do is we want that hole to appear on the screen when it's clicked, because the mouse is what's going to use it, or you can make a joystick. When you click the screen, the hole will appear because it got shot right there. But we don't want it to stay on the screen because that would just be crazy. So we want it to appear and then about a half a second later just disappear. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to set a little alarm. We're going to set alarm in actions. So the event is create. The first time it appears, we want to set an alarm. So we're going to go to main 2 and it's under timing. Timing is under main 2. And if you're not sure, you just click these little windows until you find what you're looking for. So this is set an alarm. So we just leave this alone. Number of steps is how many game loops we're going to do. If we want it to be half a second, we put in 15. Because earlier in the room 1, hold on, I'll go ahead and click OK. If I double click in room 1 and I go to settings, you'll see that the speed is 30. So it's going to do 30 checks every second. So in our object hole, if we set an alarm to 15, that's going to be half of a second. So we're setting the alarm. Now what's going to happen is the alarm is going to go off. All right, and that's 0. So that's another event. So I click on event, and there it is, alarm. And I click alarm, and I have to select which alarm is it. It's alarm 0. So this is, okay, so first of all, this is setting the alarm. This, under an event, is when the alarm goes off. So when the alarm goes off, we want it to just disappear. So we go to main 1, and that's under objects, and we want to just basically destroy itself. It's just going to disappear. So we have that create alarm 0. When the alarm goes off, we destroy the instance. Instance just means, let's say there are 3 holes on the screen. Each individual hole is considered an instance of the object hole. And so you could have 3 or 4 on the screen. And so each particular one is its own. And this destroy self means only the one object. If I were to say destroy object and I were to destroy object hole, it would destroy all object holes on the screen. So I don't want it to do that. I want it to just be itself. So the one object only takes care of itself. Okay, it's on, it sets the alarm. When the alarm goes off, it goes away. So let's go ahead and test this out. So I'm going to click OK. So if you want to test it out, we want to see, does the alarm work? So what we do is we go to the room. So I can double click on room, and I see there's my room. I'm going to click on objects, and right now it has object hole right there. So I'm going to click a couple of these like so, and I'm going to test it out. And these should appear for 30 seconds and then disappear. There they are. Half a second later, they're gone. Okay, so we know that that works. Now, the create event was fired off when that room first appeared. So these 4 holes all were created when the room began. Okay, and then after the alarm went off, they all went away. They all went away at the same time. So don't forget to put your objects in a room, or else it doesn't work. Now at this point, what we really want to do is we want to have our crosshair work as like a gun, so that we are going to use the mouse to move the crosshair, and when we click, we want a hole to appear where we click it. So this is going to be a little bit more complex of behavior. The other thing is I want to get rid of these holes. I don't want them on the screen. So what am I doing? I'm right-clicking. And if you look down here, it says left mouse button equals add, right mouse button equals delete. So if I right-click on it, it goes away. Okay, I've tested it. I know it works at this point. This is a great time to save. So save the game, save it often. Now it's time to work on the crosshair. Let's go ahead and create a new object for the crosshair. So I'm going to right-click on objects, and I'm going to choose create object. I'm going to write object underscore crosshair, all one word, sprite crosshair. So there's our sprite, that's our object. And now one of the things we wanted to do is we wanted to basically always follow the mouse, okay? And this means this has to happen, and it has to be updated every game loop. So in order to do that, this is an event called step. Step is anytime you want something always checking throughout the game. And we're just going to choose step. We could do the beginning of the step, the end of the step, or just in the step. This allows us to organize the ordering of events if you need to do more than one in step. So, oh, and the order is important. It's not for us, so we just choose step. So this is going to trigger 30 times a second. And just for as long as the game is running, as long as there's a sprite in the screen, this is what happens. Okay, so what we want to do is we want it to move and go wherever the mouse goes. So that's jump to position. That's under jump. It's the X going to the X. So I just drag it out. Okay. Now, so what we want it to do is we want it to apply to self. Okay. But what we want it to do is we want it to go wherever the mouse is. Okay. So in order to go where the mouse is, we're going to tell it where the X and the Y should be. Now, we don't know where the mouse is, do we? It's going to change throughout the game. If we left it like this, then forever it would always be going to the top left corner of the screen. So what we have is in Game Maker language, GML, there's a variable called mouse underscore x. And what that means is it's just wherever the mouse is on the x-axis from left to right, horizontally. Just follow that mouse. If we only wanted to go left to right and not up or down, we could leave it like this, or we could put in a position. So then we're going to write mouse y, because we want it to follow both the x and y position of the mouse. Okay, so that's part of GML, Game Maker Language. If you want more information, the link is under Yo-Yo Games, but I would just do a quick search for Game Maker 8. So let's go ahead over here and let me just show you where I would go. I would just go type Game Maker 8, GML overview, takes us here. And then all this information we can find in here, and we can search, forget where we want to search, variables, variable scope. It's actually, I think, a global variable, score, health, lives, etc. All right, so there's a lot of other information. Of course, if you want to, you can just put mouse movement GML. Mouse input, click on here. There it is, mouse X, mouse Y. Here's some more variables that you can take advantage of. So, and this gives you a little description of some of these. Okay, so if I click mouse X, it'll tell me more about it. So Google is your friend when it comes to Game Maker Language. However, let's go ahead and click OK. So now this crosshair should follow the mouse wherever it goes. Let's go ahead and test this out. I'm going to go to room 1. Now, before we can test it out, you have to actually add it to the room. So I click, this little thing is a way of selecting, and we click Object, Crosshair, and I click. And right now, it's just going to go wherever the mouse goes. So I'm going to leave that there. I got to click it once. I'm going to save my changes and test it out and just see if it follows the mouse. So right now it follows the mouse. The only thing I don't like is I don't like the fact that I can see the mouse cursor. And it doesn't do anything when I click. So we're going to change it so whenever we click, it will actually do something. So that's a good start. So let's save our changes if you haven't done it yet. And let's go back to the object crosshair. Okay. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to add a new event. And this is for the mouse click. Now on here, we go to mouse, and we have a couple options here. We have the left button, right button, middle button. And what this means is this is expecting me to click with the mouse on my object. I don't want it to work that way. I want it to just wherever I click on the screen. So instead of left button, I go down to global mouse, and then I do global left button. And now this is in relationship to where the cursor is on the screen and where I'm clicking on the screen, not in relationship to the object. So that's a key importance here in this particular one. So we do global left button. So when we click, what we want to do is create a new hole in that position. So what we do is we go to, I believe it's main 1, just kidding, main 1, and we want, under objects, we have create instance. So basically what we want to create is we want to create an object hole. Now where are we going to add that object hole is a good question. So we don't want it to be 0, 0, upper left-hand corner of the screen. We want it relative to wherever we clicked. So we're going to click relative, okay? And then we are going to test this out. Well, let's just see if this works. So we already have it in the room. We have both a step event where it moves to the mouse X, mouse Y. Global creates an object of the whole X, Y of relative. And remember, relative to wherever the current value happens to be. Let's go ahead and test this out and see if we can put some holes in the screen. Oh, we also have to fix that cursor that's following it. Well, let's test this out. Yeah. And there you go. And notice how they kind of just disappear. So that's really good. We need at least one more piece here. And to do that, we're going to go to the global game settings. And what we need to do is we need to figure out how to make it so it doesn't display the cursor. And it's right under graphics down here. Uncheck display the cursor. Click OK. Let's test it out one more time. Notice I saved my changes again. I think we're going to like this. Yeah, see, you don't have that cursor following. All right, pretty good. All right, so in our next tutorial, we're going to start working on the remaining objects of our game. Stay tuned for that.